Demons Discuss, Television Review, Season 1, Episode 3.
Welcome to Demons Discuss, the unofficial podcast about the All Souls universe and the topics that orbit it. We are your hosts, Angela, Jean, and Valerie. I am Valerie, and with me is Angela and Jean. Hello, girls.
Hello.
Hey, everybody.
And what are we talking about today, Jean?
We are talking about Episode 3 of A Discovery of Witches and lots of stuff.
Okay, so Baldwin for our audience. That's what that squeal was. That was Baldwin.
I hear dogs barking.
No, that's just me squealing.
Yeah, that squeal was Jean saying Baldwin in a very loud, high-pitched voice because I think she's a fan. What do you think, Angela?
A little bit.
Yeah?
I think Angela's a fan, too.
I am.
So own up to it. Own up
front
to
and center. Absolutely. I'm just a little bit quieter, but Jean knows the passion is there because we've not only had conversations about Team Baldwin and being Team Baldwin for the past 6 years. It's just we've been waiting for this moment for so long.
Yeah, it used to be that we could fit Team Baldwin in my Z4, but not anymore.
This is true.
You need a party bus with a wagon?
Oh, I've got the party bus, and it's filling up fast.
Yes.
I'm going to have to start checking credentials at the door.
Yeah. And this is no spoiler, but Jean and I were Team Baldwin way back in the day from Book Baldwin. That's all we had. Adored him, loved him.
Yes.
Headed up the squad. And now there's a big contingent online that is Team Baldwin.
Took a lot of body blows along the way, too.
We did. a lot of defending to the death as well.
Yeah.
And I watched it all, and True Blue doesn't even describe these two. They are seriously Team Baldwin.
Yeah.
Team Baldwin. Yeah. I mean, even when it wasn't so cool to be Team Baldwin.
Oh, it was never cool.
Even knows that.
Yeah, it was never cool to be Team Baldwin. We were definitely, even before Book of Life, when we didn't even know how it was going to end. I mean, we were praying to the goddess, like, please don't let him be an asshole, really. we didn't think so. We really didn't think so, but, things change.
I think my bargaining went so far as to saying to Deb at a signing, if you got to do something, I'm okay if you, blow him up in a blaze of glory as long as, he doesn't turn out to be a dick.
It's true. You know how you say if you piss off an author, they could write you in the story and kill you? I'm like, I don't care about that.
Exactly.
Just don't make him an asshole, please.
I know. I can live with his death as long as it's noble.
Right.
I say she knows we're Team Baldwin.
Oh, yeah.
I think when we walked up to her at the con and she's like, well, blah, blah, blah. What did you like about Times Convert? And I said, Uncle Baldwin. And she says, of course you did.
Right.
Of course. Of course.
She looked, and the look was just, I knew that. Tell me something else.
But this new Team Baldwin through the TV show, Jean and I have always said that it's the same Baldwin that's in the books. You just got to look.
Yeah. It's not a new and different Baldwin. It's the same old Baldwin. You just didn't want to look at it.
Yeah, that's true. The nuance is gone.
Yes.
It's pretty much in your face, and you get to see what he deals with, and that's good. Now, I'm not saying I'm anti-Baldwin, but I think I have an affinity towards Hamish, who acts kind of the same. He does the same things, but with a little more finesse.
Well,
he's not as charismatic and suave as Hamish I'm talking about, but he's plain spoken, but he's got a better delivery.
See, we were just talking offline here, off air. It's all in the delivery.
It is.
Oh, God, yes.
It is. Okay, so let's knock out this sponsorship so we can get to talking about this episode.
Yay!
Yay! This TV episode is brought to y'all by Ivana Waltos, our so dedicated discusser from Australia. Thank you, Ivana.
Thank you.
So, you guys, you've been listening to us for a little, and maybe you're wondering how we make this podcast happen. Well, it takes time, effort, and we can't avoid it. It takes cash.
Or, as Blanche DuBois says, the kindness of strangers.
The kindness of strangers. How we help fund this is by listener membership through Patreon. If we didn't, you'd be listening to a bunch of ads interrupting the coverage of our new favorite TV show.
Mail order mattresses.
Yes! Tell the people what they can get by sponsoring us through Patreon.
Oh, everybody who sponsors us through Patreon gets access to our after show where we just keep driving the wagon wherever it takes us. As far as the show, as far as the books, as far as us, as far as our are beautiful discussers and things going on out in the fandom, and secrets. You get access to secrets.
All the secrets.
So many secrets in the vault.
Yes.
And if you move up on the levels, we've got swag, stickers and tote bags and all kinds of new different things we're thinking about putting out there.
Yay!
And
there's more.
But wait, there's one more thing.
Why?
Demon Roulette.
Demon Roulette!
Once a quarter, we run a giveaway just for our patrons.
Just for being a patron.
Yep.
And you could get just about anything. A one-of-a-kind t-shirt, jewelry.
Signed tote bag.
Signed tote bag.
Yep.
You never know. So become a patron and find out.
Yep. Then that would be patreon.com/demonsdiscuss. Okay, and I also want to remind you listeners before we get deep into conversation that at the very end of this episode, we will have a spoiler zone. We will warn you when we're about to go into it and say a proper goodbye for those of you who want no parts of it. You can say your own, fuck this shit, I'm out, I gotta go. And that's it. So I guess we can start, right?
Let's do it.
Well, let's tell them what kind of spoilers we're talking about.
Oh.
We're talking about spoilers as far as things that may have been in the books that didn't make it to the screen or things that have gotten changed. And if y'all haven't read the books yet, that may be where you want to jump out.
Are we now including as well in future episodes since people could have seen it in bulk or not?
Well, I don't know.
That's
that's perplexing. I don't know.
Well, I was going to say, since we're tackling these one at a time and we didn't see them in bulk, I would venture a guess that we don't have to worry about that.
Well, we are doing a 10 episode series where we'll tackle each episode on its own. And then the next episode after that will be in bulk. Then we can tackle that whole thing. And from there, we'll take listener feedback. And our last episode in this TV review series will be our wish list. Yay!
Oh, and we will revisit our wish list from back in episode 5.
That's right. It was one of our very, very,
oh my
very
gosh,
first
episode
episodes.
5, our podcast with training wheels.
Yes. With training wheels and someone holding this back seat.
Yes.
So we wouldn't tip over.
I think the door kept flying open too.
Yes. So, we don't recommend you go back and listen to that one. It doesn't exist, but we are going to do a new one.
Yes, it does. We just need to own it.
Oh, God.
It is what it is.
Okay, so are we ready to go on this ride, guys?
Let's go.
All right, let's start the wagon. And we open up episode 3 with a normal voiceover. Matthew is walking into the Bodleian. He's scoping the place out and he notices all the creatures. Then he meets Diana outside of New College to warn her, and he winds up asking her to spend the day with him. And before she could answer, here comes Gillian.
Ugh. She's just horrid. Just so horrid. Ugh.
So you're not a fan of Gillian, huh?
Oh, God, no. God, no. She's just so weaselly. And the things she says, the way she talks about vampires and Matthew is just so disgusting.
So the premise is she realizes that Diana might have been a little bit pissed about Peter being in her house. And she's trying to explain that away. And Diana's like, no, she's not having it because she realized she's like, you told Peter. And Gillian's like, yeah, I did. But, it's for your own good. And you don't want to spend the day with that.
You've used magic for your own gain.
Did Knox tell you that?
He's a good man. He's in the congregation. He's worried about you, and so am I.
Well, you don't need to be.
Look, I know that you're angry with me. I understand. But that does not mean that you need to spend time with that.
Rude.
Right. Rude much? Poor Matthew.
Oh,
Matthew took it well, I thought.
Oh, man. If vampire, was he actually rolling his eyes? It came damn close.
He was taking a mental note for later.
Yes.
Much later.
And it was in that very moment in time, Diana said, maybe I will spend the day with a vampire. Like, Angela, you did say this off mic. It's like you tell Diana to do one thing.
Yeah.
And she's going to do the opposite. Yeah.
Drive her into the arms of someone that you don't want her to be with.
I like this Diana. She doesn't let things happen to her, even though she makes rash, wrong decisions. She's at least proactive.
Yes. Very good. And she kind of shoulder checks Gillian on her way past her on the way to Matthew's car.
Oh, yeah. I was waiting for her to pull out her earrings and start a fight there for a second. Where's my gold?
Yeah. And Matthew's holding the door for her, and Diana says, I can open my own door. Thank you. I thought that was cute.
Well, his reaction.
That's my girl.
Yep.
Yeah. It was a nice little smirk on him, and he was like, okay. Whatever you say, lady.
Yes, dear.
So they head to Matthew's house in his lush little car. Well, I won't say little. That's the Tesla S. That's kind of nice, kind of lush. They're heading to Matthew's house, and she noticeably relaxes. And I like this because it was in the books too, where she kind of sat back and relaxed. And she's like, well, where are we going? And he goes, well, we're going to my house. And what did you guys think about the place, his house?
The gate was, the fact that they stopped at the gate and opened it, it was almost like, yes, you are going back in time, because it was, instead of him having an electric gate and all the updated stuff, he basically pulls up in this beautiful top of the line electric car and has to get out and pull out a key for a padlock and open up the gates by hand, which just shows you that he is kind of a man out of time. And you're stepping into his past.
Yeah.
Which I just loved. And the peacock.
Oh, the peacock.
The peacock was awesome. It made me think of that. I know it was probably all serendipity, but it made me think about Deb in that post when she was on the tour back when Book of Life came out with the white peacok.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Which was right about the time. I think that was right about the time they ended up getting the deal with Bad Wolf too. So, everything old is new again and comes full circle.
I wasn't disappointed. It's grand. It's definitely worthy of Matthew Claremont, but Speke Hall will always be in my heart, his home. And I miss the Elizabethan, the Tudor timber and the style of
whitewash and the styling. I miss that we didn't get the whole little spiel about the land grant and the comments about Wolsey's cousin and the cousin who did chimneys. Hampton Court and the chimneys, and the fact that he saved bits and pieces from the old abbey.
Oh, we'll save that for the end.
Sorry.
The end, because some of us didn't crack the books open, so that's okay. It's okay. So the set inside was pretty accurate because of the ceilings, the Tudor roses that were painted white, and it was like a time capsule. And then there was Louisa's picture.
Yes.
And she's like, who's that?
That's pretty forward. That's very forward. Yeah. You're right. It could be.
Sister. But did you also notice that chair that as they walked past, that was that Savonarola chair?
No, I missed that.
That old Greek harped one. I'm like, oh, that's nice. That's a nice little touch too. Right from the de Clermont chair catalog.
We get Matthew's real last name. She's like, do you have to switch names a lot? And I think he said, I always keep my first name.
I always keep my Christian name is how he said it.
My Christian name, yes. But my real last name is de Clermont. And she's like, you're French.
And it was all Sylvie claps. Woo! I know something now about him. She was just like so cute in that moment. I was like, oh, woo!
Yes.
I can do something with this.
And then he's like, aren't you full of a lot of questions? And she's like, yep. I'm a historian. And you mentioned, Jean, that you like the staircase.
Oh, that staircase is beautiful. And that overhead shot they did all the way down the stairwell, and the geometry of it all was just breathtaking. That shot down the staircase is an Easter egg we'll talk about in the spoilers.
Okay.
Mental note.
They go up the stairs, and Matthew's starting to reveal things about his family. His mother's in France, and she used to live there with his stepfather. His father died, and we learned that vampires could be killed with enough effort.
Did you think it was interesting? His first time he's talking to Diana, he refers to him as his stepfather. That stood out to me.
It does, because of the opening where he says, as my father always said.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah. So we get the distinction that it is actually his stepfather. Now we cut into Satu on our maiden voyage to the congregation, and she's on a boat in Venice. What'd you guys think of this whole scene where she's getting to see the congregation for the first time?
She's a long way from home.
Yeah, that's for sure. She's no longer in the woods.
Right.
Well, and the way they did it was just masterful as far as showing that the island's under a disguising spell, and that view and the building that they chose to stand in for the congregation meeting place was just spectacular. And for me, I loved it because it got so many aspects of the books, including that open courtyard with the well in the middle of it. And what did you think of the archives when he kind of gave her the quick tour? Oh, the demons are here. The vampires are there. Here's the witches' archives.
I don't know. My first impression was the first thing she wanted to do was get in the chamber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, whoa, slow your roll.
Yes.
You know?
She's more than ready.
Yeah. She's like, okay, I'm ready to do this thing.
I was kind of thinking like, whoa, bitch, who do you think you are?
But it's interesting. There could be a lot of useful information in the archive, and she's not even concerned with that.
Yeah.
No, but she doesn't know what she doesn't know. She just thinks the chamber is where it's at.
Well, it's almost like when she first steps in there, she doesn't realize that now, or she doesn't want to be bothered with the whole adage of knowledge is power. It's just like, I just want to go to the seat of power right now.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's take the shortcut.
Fast track it.
Yes.
And she was kind of offended that there was a human that was a caretaker.
I didn't take it as offended. I took it as surprise. Like, you're human. Well, what are you even doing here?
Right.
Why would you even want to be around us?
Yeah.
You know?
It's almost like it. Well, I'm about to save it for the end too. You brought this up, but I'll say it's almost like Jordan. Proving that humans can be around creatures, and some do know about them.
Yes, and then we get the whole history from I think the male line. The oldest male is the one that gets this job.
Yes.
The oldest male in that family. And Satu's like, "Oh, do you have any siblings?" He's like, "Yeah, an older sister." And she's like, she must be relieved.
Yes, and the family's name is Jean, which will come into play later.
Yes. And okay, so now the archives. I mean, we didn't get a touch of this in the book, so this is our first time getting a glimpse of the behind the scenes in the congregation as far as the archives.
The archives, for me, the first thing I thought of was Eglantine Price and Bedknobs and Broomsticks because of that stuffed alligator did it.
See, I didn't watch that.
See, it's kind of like Diana on the bike and hearkening back to the Wizard of Oz. I mean, I think this was a little shout out to all of us who saw Bedknobs and Broomsticks as kids, as another one of the seminal witch movies growing up.
Oh, yeah.
So I loved it. And then it was just like, you just wanted to linger on the different shops.
I wanted to open the jars.
Yes.
I wanted to look at the books. I wanted to see everything that was in that room.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was well done. The set makers, well done.
It's like Sarah's still room on a grand scale.
Oh,
yes. That's what it made me think of, as what Sarah's still room looked like in my head, with all the timbers, and it was kind of dark, and even on a bright day, there's not enough windows, and you have to have lights on because it's sort of gloomy, and
that whole building seemed gloomy. To be honest.
It did.
Yeah. The office that Baldwin's in, I thought it was part of the congregation and not his personal office.
I took it as his personal office off somewhere.
Yes. Okay. Because that had a lot more light in
maybe
it.
New York or something.
I'll say that the architecture of the congregation, it's not that it's purposely dark. It's just that's how it was built. And when you have Gothic architecture like that, it lets in very little light.
Gothic kind of look that they had, because the thick walls and the lack of a lot of lights are A, protective, and B, it keeps the temperature regulated.
Yeah.
So
we're cutting back to Matthew's place, and Diana is looking at alchemy books that Matthew has. She wonders about Matthew and alchemy. She's like, were you an alchemist? And Matthew says he inherited them from his brother. So we get a little touch of more of Matthew's history. And then Matthew starts asking her questions. And I was wondering, is she going to be suspicious of him? Like, because remember when Peter Knox was asking her all those questions, and then it started leading away. But Matthew asked her how she obtained the book, and she didn't seem rattled at all.
No, she just offered it up. She's like, I don't know.
Spellcasting is not Diana's thing.
Yeah.
And I love this. He attempted to spill wine on the books.
Yes.
And then Diana magics them aside without even trying. She's like, what are you doing?
He's like,
I gotta save the books. What are you doing, Matthew?
Yeah. One more thing in that set I noticed, and James North is just so brilliant with the set design and whatnot. There was what looked to be an old master painting hanging in his rooms.
Okay.
And
in his house or his room?
It was like right on the wall behind where Diana was going through the
book. Yeah.
And I suspect it was probably the three graces, but to me, I looked at it and saw the three aspects of the goddess.
See, I'm going to have to go back and look at that.
Yeah. It was like, was that another little like subconscious shout out right there?
Could be. I'll look at it.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what I think.
I'd love to know what you think.
Okay, so we're back in Madison, New York, and Emily is scrying. She's doing something with a bowl, and apparently she's been having bad dreams and decided to peek. And so she's pouring liquids in her bowl, and she's doing these mystical things, and she's burning some brush over it and waving her hands, and we're like, okay, some magic's happening here. We get it. Tabitha she breaks her trance, and Sarah's following Tabitha. And they have a conversation like, okay, I didn't realize you were scrying. What's going on? And
it's like at home. You have your ear pods in or whatever. I didn't realize you were listening to something. Let me interrupt you.
I know. Especially if your hair's down and no one sees them pods, you're just like, I can't hear you. No, I just thought you were deaf.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my God. Was anybody off put by the fact that she's like peeping on her grown ass niece?
No.
Not if it's in a result because she's having bad dreams or premonitions.
Yeah. Okay. No, I'd do it on my daughter in a minute. What's going on? I'm having bad dreams. I got to figure out what's going on. So no.
Just personally, if you've ever had, sometimes I have a sense of dread or not anxiety. It's like something you can feel energy. If I could scry, maybe I should learn how to scry. I don't know. I would.
Yeah. The more information you have, the better.
Yeah.
So she's like,
I've never been in mom mode. That's why I was just curious.
Yeah.
I've only been the peepee, never the peeper.
That's you are, Jean.
Thanks. I'll add that to my business card.
Oh my goodness. No, the only thing she's saying what she saw Diana, and she saw there's someone with them, and Sarah's thinking it's Peter Knox, and she's like, no, it's not a witch. And then Sarah's
and
face
comes
is
the
like,
Shadowed Prince, the first appearance of the Shadowed Prince. Yes.
Yeah. And it's not a witch. And Sarah's like, oh, crap.
I think had I not read the books, I would feel just like I did when I first read the books, is that I would, oh no, there's something dangerous about Matthew. Maybe Diana's in danger.
You in danger, girl.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but I don't know, because we have the life experience with all this that we did, my heart just it was just like, la. Here comes the Shadow Prince. Here comes the fairy tales. Here comes all that goodness.
Especially with British shows, I'm always waiting for the shoe to drop. There's always something unexpected. So I definitely would have felt like Matthew. There's going to be a twist. Obviously, I won't say what's going to happen, but that would have been my first reaction, to be suspicious.
With British shows, I always think there's going to be a car bomb.
Right.
Crazy.
Exactly.
Or he's going to be a Russian spy.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah. Okay, so back at Matthew's, and they're headed out, and they're discussing Diana's magic. And Matthew says, you can feel me when I'm looking at you. And then Diana describes what she feels. It's like cold, and it feels like ice crawling under her skin. And so this is the first time we're getting that from the TV show, as far as she can feel the creatures looking at her.
I don't remember much about my childhood. My parents died when I was young.
Yes, I know.
Living without magic isn't bad. I've survived without it.
Oh, that's not quite true. You use it all the time. You can feel me when I'm looking at you.
It feels cold. Like ice growing under my skin.
Witch power is in your blood, it's in your bones. You're born to be a witch. You were born to have blonde hair. Those blue eyes.
And he tells her, you were born to be a witch, just like being born with blonde hair. And
then we get our mini
big blue eyes of yours.
Yeah, the mini genetics lesson, which was just delicious.
Yeah.
I'm sure Shelley was squealing when she was watching it.
Yeah.
We'll find out from her soon.
And those blue eyes. I love that. And then she smiles. She's like, I noticed my eyes. That's so sweet.
I know. It's like the little fanning. You could tell she was mentally fanning herself. Like, oh, he likes me.
Yeah. Matthew discloses his age. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I was born in 500 and I was changed in around about 537. No big deal.
I know. I love that we got an abridged version of the whole. Well, when she was playing like 20 questions trying to figure out how old he was. That was just. I loved it. I was.
Am I getting hot? Am I colder?
Yeah.
Which siege of Carthage?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And after all this, after she finds out he's a 1,500-year-old vampire, what does Diana do? The opposite of what I would have done. She asks him to dinner.
I know. I love it.
Like, ooh, 1,500 years old? Hot. Why don't you come to my place, baby? That's kind of crazy. Crazy.
Her historian motor got revving.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so we go to this store.
New stock's arrived.
Oh, what's come in?
Ghosties and ghoulies and things that go bump in the night.
The next scene is the store, and we meet Sophie Norman for the first time. And she's working a shop, receiving packages. And she's drawing the very same baby in the vial we saw in Ashmole 782 at the beginning.
And we get to jam to some Imagine Dragons.
Yes. The song Demons. I love the use of the song Demons here.
And and when she's unpacking that box of like old school Halloween masks, the little old school plastic ones with the rubber bands, and she scares the little girl with the demon mask. I just love that.
Oh my God. I love this family. I have to say, I really love this family.
Yes.
And she walks home and we meet her husband, Nathaniel. And he's like setting up this underground, quote unquote, dark web. I like to say dark web because there's no such thing as dark web, people. It's just the web, okay?
He's setting up his own Facebook group for his own discussers.
Right.
Yeah. Tell 2020 that. They perpetuate that. There was a show about the dark web the other day.
Oh yeah. Jeez. The dark web. Just go ahead and scare people on it.
Yeah, although
just
I think he probably was using one of those old school Comcast forums.
In real life, yes, but Nathaniel, from the books we learn, he's very savvy when it comes to computers, so I'm sure there were layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of cloaking.
No,
but not enough.
They showed us he was savvy in the TV show because they gave him 2 screens because, all the really cool computer kids have 2 screens, at least in my office.
Asa has 4, so
my goodness.
Wow.
It doesn't even hit me. It doesn't even hit me. Because when we go into Sophie and Nathaniel's house, it really reminds me of my son.
This thread's been up since this morning, and already it's got over 100 messages.
You knew this was gonna work.
The stories they're telling. Demons born to humans who had no idea why they were different. Who spent half their lives thinking they were freaks.
Now you've got them talking to each other.
Sophie shows Nathaniel a book with pictures of Diana's statue.
Oh, I love how she just like plops that. He's like all Mr. Computer Savvy, and she just like plops this stack of books. I got these books from the library.
Yeah.
It's my statue.
Look at my statue.
I love that they were that juxtaposition of new tech and old school. Oh, that was just so smart.
And they're so complimentary. They're understanding of each other. They're not dismissive.
Yeah. And he goes, "That's your statue." She's like, "Uh-huh. Yep. It was in the library. This book about alchemy. It's about alchemy." And I get when she's talking, she doesn't know a thing about alchemy. Oh, yeah. She just knows it's about alchemy. That's it.
And she is so adorable. She reminds us of our Yogini so much. She just reminds me of Allie.
Does she?
Yes. In all the
see now?
In all the good ways, she reminds me of Allie.
So we cut to Diana's rooms, and Sarah is calling. Sarah's losing her shit because Diana's hanging around with a vampire.
Sarah just needs an excuse to lose her shit. It's like, she needs to do it every so often because it purges the system.
It brings out her character.
Yeah.
And plus her niece is hanging out with a vampire. It's
for her cardiovascular health.
Yes.
Right. Well, and coupled with Emily scrying, that she's in danger, and then you find out she's hanging out with a vampire. That doesn't seem like a good thing.
Yeah, she's making the obligatory parental phone call, like, what's going on over there?
Yeah, again with the delivery.
Yeah.
So many characters in this series have, delivery issue.
Yeah.
See, and I don't find a problem in that.
No, I don't. I said issues, not problems. It's like,
no, I know.
Yeah.
But I don't even see it as an issue. I'm like, if you don't say what's going on, how are you going to know what's going on?
This is true.
I don't read minds. I'm not the witch that reads minds, Diana. Tell me what the hell's going on. And Emily's sitting there all quiet, and then all of a sudden she brings up a story that Diana's mom used to tell her about a shadowed prince between sunset and moonrise. And maybe that's him? And Sarah ain't having it. She's like, no.
But what the best part of it was is all Diana said was, I love that story.
Yeah. And Sarah's melting down. She's like, oh, you're putting 2 and 2 together and trying to make 5. No, this is not what's going on.
Yeah.
And she's just having a meltdown. And Diana's like, oh, well, we'll find out when he comes to dinner.
She did everything but put her hand. Did she put her hands over her ears and go, la, 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 I'm not hearing you?
No.
She should have. She pretty much did everything but.
Yeah. She's like... And, she's got the safety of distance, and Sarah doesn't have the gift of flight, I don't think. So, oh, well, he's coming to get dinner. I guess we'll find out then. Nah. God. Okay, so we cut to outside of New College.
I love this part.
And Marcus is waiting there. I thought this was adorable. I love the two of them in this scene together because
and he is so tall. I didn't realize just how tall he is.
I think she's also small. I also think she's tiny. I think that's what Laura told me. She's very tiny. Yeah. And because I think Matthew Good is only 6'3"? Well, only. I say only. Yeah. Only. He's about 6'2", 6'3". So yeah. Teresa's itty. So Marcus is waiting outside the college and he tries to strike a bargain with her after they're walking because she says, oh, okay, so I take it it's no accident you're there. And he's like, yeah, Matthew told me to keep an eye on you. And she's like, okay, is he always like this? Marcus is like, yeah, he's like this with us, but you're like the first witch he's ever done it to. And then she's like, okay, then that's cool.
You're going to help me shop. Tell me what he likes.
Yeah. She's like, I might as well just put you to use. And they strike a bargain. He's asking for her blood because he wants to know. He's like, don't you want to know what's in the bishop blood? Don't you want to know your lineage? And he's selling it to her.
He's like being the Pied Piper there a little bit. It's kind of like,
yeah,
talk about like, who's being the siren. It's him. He's luring her to, playing on her curiosity, which I kind of love.
And he's also offering to help her feed Matthew too. So that works out too. It's a win-win for Diana.
This is true.
This is how he's selling it. And it's like, hey, you get to find out your lineage and you know what to feed Matthew. See, it works out for you.
And your dinner will be a hit.
Yeah. So very tempting to Diana. And we wonder if she's going to take this bargain at this point. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we are back with Satu at the congregation going through the witch's archives. And she pulls out Rebecca and Diana Bishop's files. And Diana's files have been heavily redacted.
Oh my God. I've seen stuff like that when we've done open records requests. It's so freaking annoying.
Oh, tell me about it.
It's like
when they expose like 3 words. I'm like, what?
I was going to say, we're probably on the other side annoying Eugene because we have client information. Obviously, I mean, I don't know. I've seen it too on my side. And I can understand why you'd be annoyed.
Well, and it kills me because it's like, okay, I've gone through 6 months of trying to get like an autopsy report or something on an accident. And every goddamn thing is redacted. I was like, all I want to know is if the guy was drunk or not. Jeez, Pete.
Oh, when we do safety violations and stuff like that, and they're in this safe, and we have to look at the report, and there's 3 words exposed in a 5-paragraph letter.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can't do shit with this.
It's like, okay.
How am I supposed to write a report on this?
What's the safety violation? Okay, I know there's one because there's a piece of paper in this file, but what the hell was the actual safety violation? This is stupid.
Yeah.
You need some of her pixie dust.
I know. Satu doesn't care that it's written redacted because she's got her shit in the pocket.
Yeah.
And it's been established that she's pretty damn powerful and she's got spells for that. So she reaches in her pocket and says a few words and sprinkles this dirt. It looked like dirt from her house in the woods, maybe. I don't know. And then she's exposing all the words. And then here comes Domenico.
This is our archive. It's not for vampires.
Test of Diana Bishop's powers. Who is Diana Bishop?
I love him.
How did he even get in there?
Vampire speed, baby. Vampire speed.
How did he know to be there, though? Did he hear her casting that spell?
He's a sneak.
Yeah. And not only that, preternatural senses. I mean, everything to the max. He's on high alert. He's looking for his next angle.
Yeah. It's like, ooh, what's going on over there? And he gets rather rough with Satu. I mean, it's like, nice to meet you too, Domenico. Oh, God. He does. I mean, he grabs her by the...
said he was bad to the bone.
By the neck and holds her up. Yeah, I guess so. I guess, suspending her midair by her neck would be a good way to get someone's attention. You got Satu's.
That's true.
But she did manage to get rid of the words before he got to look at it. And he's like, who's Diana Bishop?
Yeah, he knew, but not fast enough because he knows enough to nose around about that.
That's true. Okay, we're at the lab and Miriam's taking blood from Diana. Marcus is just, chilling.
He's Marcusing.
Marcusing. Yes. He's just chilling like he does. Miriam says, surely you've always wondered about the Bishop blood. I always have. And then Matthew is outside about to enter the lab and he hears the whole thing. Whoops.
It's like, there's my Matthew.
Yes.
Through your DNA, we can trace descent back to one of 4 witches.
What the hell are you doing? Stop now. If any vampire's going to take her blood, it's going to be me.
The only vampire taking Diana's blood is going to be me. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Hello.
He growled at the end of the scene, too.
I know. My Growly Matthew's here. I'm so excited. I got my Growly Matthew.
It was when he took the bandage off and a little dot of blood pooled in her elbow. Mm-hmm. And the other 2 were looking on and he just growled and they kind of looked away like, oh, sorry, my bad.
Oopsie.
Okay, this TV show is fast moving, so we're back in Venice. Domenico is visiting Gerbert.
Oh, yes.
To report that Matthew is harassing a witch in Oxford. And they were scheming on bringing Matthew in. And Gerbert does not trust witches. This is what I got from this.
Well, Gerbert doesn't trust Domenico. Doesn't he call him a sneaky little shit?
Mm-hmm. Gerbert doesn't trust many people. And Domenico, from this scene, I gathered he had a chip on his shoulder when it comes to Matthew. He doesn't care.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, oh, yeah. He's ready to give it to Matthew. So later, we're assuming Domenico left and Gerbert brings out this box with a brass head. And this is the first time we're meeting Meridiana.
Oh, and this was brilliant. This was so incredibly brilliant on the part of the screenwriters because they've sort of peeled away the layers on Gerbert over these last 2 episodes. And I just love it because you get the hints that he had been the Pope. And now there's 2 legends with the real life Gerbert of Arlac, or he's also Sylvester II.
Yeah.
And he was said to have a brazen head that made prophecy. And then there was also the story about how he got his power and became Pope because he made a deal with a succubus named Meridiana. And they
combined those 2 legends, didn't they?
Yes. And they also brought in the whole prophecy of Meridiana here. And it's just, this whole scene is so creepy. And the Latin, the fact he uses the Latin and it was so brilliant. And it brought so many little eggs in and all the stuff in from the story. And it's like there in 30 seconds.
Yes. Beware the witch with the blood of the lion and the wolf. That's all Meridiana said. And Gerbert's like, what? I don't even know what that means. Yeah. What?
Alexa, repeat.
And that's all she kept doing.
Meridiana was kind of an Alexa, right?
Yes. She was no magic 8-ball.
No. Okay, so next scene, fast moving, like we said, we see Agatha head to Sophie and Nathaniel's. I so relate to this, and I told you guys why.
You are so TV Agatha. You really are.
Oh, I watched it, and I'm like, this is my life I'm watching right now.
Well, in these first couple episodes, I'm like, oh, they wrote her as a badass. I love this.
Yes.
I love this.
And Agatha enters and she's got food with her, and I relate to that because my son's fridge is always freaking empty because he's too busy in front of his computer screen.
Yes.
Well, usually one of his screens is like a TV show that he's streaming, and the other screen is just like really email.
He is a multitasking demon.
Yes, he is. Both my kids are
love
demons.
it.
Agatha notices Sophie's little alchemy collage on the wall. She's like, I didn't know you were into this stuff. And Sophie's like, I didn't know I was either, but here we are. I maybe that was the impression I got. She's just taking the information she's getting and she's pasting it on the wall and trying to make sense. Kind of like Diana's white table in the books, you know?
Sophie's an empty vessel or a conduit in the best way possible.
Yes. So she takes in her information and she's trying to interpret what she's seeing. She's like, Sophie says, hey, Nat, your mom's here. And he comes out and I love Agatha's face. She just lit up. She's like, hey. And Nathaniel's not having it. He had to shut down his chat room and he accuses Agatha of having it shut down. And Agatha's like, look, I didn't do that, but you really should watch yourself with that chat room. And Nathaniel's saying, demons need to get together. We need to talk to each other. We need to support each other. We're so isolated. Agatha's like, I don't know if that's a good idea. Demons don't do things quietly.
Yes.
Did you tell them?
Of course not. I might not approve. I'd never report you.
Demons need to communicate with each other.
No, it's against congregation.
Well, it shouldn't be. If we were allowed to come together, there'd be fewer problems.
Not necessarily. Think of the risks. Demons aren't good at doing things quietly.
Yes, this is so true.
Prime example.
Hello.
The 3 demons that can't shut the fuck up.
Guilty as charged.
Hello. Yes.
But just from a TV show perspective, it's kind of hard to know what demons are or what they do. And it's knowing that they don't do things quietly, you get a little bit of a clue.
You get a sense.
Yeah.
You get a sense.
It's like the way it unfolds with demons on this TV show is like, damn, I want to know more. I mean, between what Hamish has said so far and now Agatha, it's like, why is everybody so scared of these second-class citizens?
Yeah. And in the creature world, they are treated second class. That we notice that right away.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're not strong or they're not like vampires or they don't have any specific powers. But we do see Sophie has the gift of sight. Even though it's not directed, she can't just focus in. She just has to take this information in and try to sort it out. And so Nathaniel and Agatha are kind of arguing after the demons don't do things quietly. And Sophie says in her slightly disjointed way, it'll be fine. My dad gave me the statue. It makes sense to her.
It's all good.
It makes sense to her. She's like, we have the statue. It's fine.
I love that.
I know.
Yeah.
Easy breezy.
Yeah.
Faith. She's got all the faith.
Yes. She's got the faith. Okay. So we're back in Oxford and Matthew is looking at flowers. He's got wine in his hands. So we assume he's getting ready to go see Diana. But he stops short of actually buying the flowers when Miriam is noticed.
Oh, man. Miriam just blew some shit his way. It was pretty funny.
They're lovely.
Thank you.
Hello, Miriam.
You're craving her.
Miriam, how I feel about Diana Bishop has absolutely nothing to do with you.
She's a witch. You're a vampire. You know the rules. It's forbidden by the terms of the covenant.
Congregation isn't about to enforce a 1,000-year-old rule.
Does Diana even know about it? Because Marcus doesn't seem to think so.
Bye, Miriam.
I love her. She's just like...
Miriam confronts him with, you're craving her. Ugh. And then the covenant is brought up. And this is the first time we're really hearing about the covenant. She's like, yeah, witches and vampires can't be together. The covenant.
Miriam is kind of his Sarah. She's like all about making it real.
Yeah. If I had to give a superlative award, she would win it as character that most surprised me and that I love the most now. I mean,
really?
Yeah, out of the TV. She really, really surprised me out of anybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and the whole thing of it is everybody just loved her because she was like the sassy scientist in the book. And here it's like, okay, yeah, she's the scientist, but she is like in a different way than Hamish. She's Matthew's conscience in that she's always like telling him, oh, dude, you're down the road to fucking this up. You need to like slow your roll.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think Book Miriam, she's
less deferential than Book Miriam.
Yeah. She's fierce and she's smart and she's been around a long time, but the TV Miriam has presence that a Book Miriam couldn't have because it's not a tangible thing.
Yes. We only had what we imagined her to be to work with. Here, we're getting a definitive look at Miriam. Right. And this is who she is.
And her coat game doesn't hurt either.
No.
Oh, man.
Or her leather pants game.
You can keep
or her boots.
That blue coat. I want the plaid one or the black one with the
buckles.
With the buckles and the mandarin collar.
So after all of that, and Matthew's like, the congregation shouldn't care about this 1,000-year-old rule. Miriam's just looking at him like,
dude.
but they're gonna.
Right.
It's like, I'm like, dude, really?
That's a convenient way of thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's staring him down, and he's like, all right, bye, Miriam. I'm going to do this thing you told me not to do.
Laters, baby.
Okay, bye.
It was very much laters.
It was the flip side of, Miriam isn't as bad as Gillian, but it was a flip side of the conversation that Diana had with her outside New College.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't so much about she's scum as it was like, oh, dude, this is going to
end bad.
This is going to end badly and cause all sorts of problems.
Yeah.
Think twice.
I mean, each one had the reasons, but they're both trying to get at them saying, don't do this. Everyone is.
But do you know what? What's funny is we get that message three ways, one from each of the creatures.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Gillian, who just comes across as a total bigot as far as like, here's a witch perspective, keep away from him because he's vampire scum. And then Hamish gives you the demon perspective, which is more emotional and basically says, unless you're ready to commit to this full on and not trifle with her, don't do it. Kind of like, unless you love her, step off. And then Miriam is like, comes in with a vampire practicality with kind of you live the history, you know how badly this can turn out, don't repeat it kind of thing. Like,
yes,
for the audience, it's kind of like, wait a minute, the message is coming and it's this kind of the same message. Each creature style is so distinctive in how that message is conveyed.
Mm-hmm.
Bye, Miriam. Bye. I gotta go.
Yeah.
So we are in Diana's rooms. She's prepping everything and the door knocks and she's rushing around, checking out the mirror. And she's like, oh my God, I could see it. Having read the books, you know how she was like doing last minute preparations. Yes. She's like, I feel like I'm getting ready for a date, and straighten up, Diana. You know, she's kind of telling herself. Teresa was able to do that with a look.
Oh yeah. Perfect.
Looking in the mirror. It was perfect. But it's not who she thinks it is at the door. It's Peter.
Oh, he's another one I can't stand. He does this so well.
Well done.
Well done.
Yeah, he's a love to hate.
Yes.
He's super good at this.
And Peter's like, oh, you expecting company? Oh, you're feeding a vampire. I guess he saw the food on the table and realized that he's like, oh, you're going to turn your back on witches, but you're feeding this vampire. And he's getting right in her face. And here comes Matthew. And he vampires his way over to Diana's side. I mean, it was quick.
Zip.
Yep. And he's growling and standing right behind her. And I love that picture of them just standing together. Diana's like, Mr. Knox was just about to leave. And then the growl. Oh, the growl.
Listeners, you know me and my growl.
Yeah, that's true. And then he hands her the wine. And I thought they were just going to hug and kiss right there, but it was so subtle. He handed her the wine. She turned around and she took it. And she's got a little smile on her face. And then Matthew clicks the door shut.
And well, it answered her question. It is a date.
Yes, it sure did.
There you go.
And then we pan into their dinner and he identifies the food's origins. And then we talk about human myths. What did you guys think about this dinner? This particular dinner? We've already experienced it somewhat through the books.
It worked.
But now we're getting to see it.
It worked.
It did.
I mean,
for the TV viewer who didn't read the books, it worked.
Yeah.
Yep.
But even for me, it's like knowing that we couldn't have both dinners and everything else. And it worked.
It worked.
We got the essence of all of what was in the book, right? In that little bit. And it was, when he said the wine, there was this Chateau Neuf with the violet scent on the wine, nose on the wine. I'm like, yay, they even did the right wine. That was my wine geek.
So we talk about human myths here at this dinner. And Matthew gives a few details on vampire abilities. They can run and jump.
Mm-hmm.
Humans think they fly. And
then she mentions the bats and the broomsticks and
the hats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then Matthew gets up to pour the wine. And then he asks her, what do you taste? And then the flowers and spice.
Mm-hmm.
And then Matthew identifies the violets that ruin Elizabeth Tudor's teeth. That was great.
I know.
And then this. What would I taste like? Whoops, Diana. Oops.
Don't ever say that to me.
I only ask to understand.
It would take but a moment. You wouldn't be able to stop me if I struck, and I wouldn't be able to stop myself.
I'm safe with you.
sap, chamomile, honey, frankincense, lady's mantle. Ancient things I thought I'd forgotten. And it's not only your scent. I can hear your witch's blood moving in your veins.
Oops. Etiquette foul.
Whoops. Don't ever ask me that. That was Matthew. Mm-hmm. And he warns her off. And she decides, hey, I'm safe with you. And then he moves so quick and he turns her around and he starts sniffing her and tears were coming out of her eyes. She did so well. Yes. She did so well during this scene. She still thinks she's safe with him, but meanwhile, she's like, am I going to die right here? Yeah. Is this it? Is this how it ends? So I felt like she was accepting her fate. Mm-hmm. And I felt like this in the parallel scene to the books, too. She was just like, either I die or I don't. This is just the way I want to go then. Yeah. You know? So he lets her go, and then Diana goes in for the kiss, which was slightly different. She was more aggressive in this. I was going to say
it's more of her being proactive.
Yes. And she kisses him. He doesn't react, and I was just like, damn.
Oh my God, this is the torture. We went through all of the damn book on our recap, and no D for you. No.
Oh my God, damn. I remember messaging you when we were watching this scene. I was like, oh my God. Rejection.
It was almost, I know I can't take it personally, but it was almost like, Jesus, were they listening to the old recaps on the show and they just wanted to give us a middle finger and go, ha ha ha, we're going to do it to you again? God!
I felt rejected for Diana. Yes. It's like, whoa.
Like, what the fuck?
Thank you for dinner, he says. Bye. And then he lets her go.
Take ourselves out of it. Think about it how the TV viewer took it. How do you think they took it?
Oh my God, I'm reading it. And then he's like, he beats feet out of there. I'm like, what the hell?
I would take rejection. I mean, if I was the TV viewer, here she is. She's kissing him. So I don't know. As a TV viewer, I would think, the inevitable. Hey, she goes in for the kiss. He's going to return the favor.
No.
But it's usually not the guy who's just like, okay.
Right.
I'm done now.
Thanks. Bye.
And he's so quiet. He's like, thank you for dinner. And then he steps away and then she gets off her toes and walks out the door. Oh, gosh. Yeah, rejection. I don't know. Listeners, if you felt rejected right there, email us. Let us know, okay?
Yes. And TV viewers, if your first venture into this was TV, please let us know how you took this, because
ouch.
Yeah.
That's what it was like. Ouch.
It was what the fuck.
It was a little bit Victorian, like in North and South when.
Oh God. Yes.
Only he was not looking back. Look back at me.
Oh no. No, Matthew was like, fuck this shit. I'm out, man. I gotta go. Gotta go.
The scene break was just like from one end of what the fuck to the other end of what the fuck.
Right, back in Venice, and Gerbert is dealing with his errant child Juliet.
Oh, this is so creepy, so creepy.
He's bathing her.
Yeah.
Ugh. And I guess she's out of punishment now because, he's getting her ready for her big trip because she's been given permission to find Matthew. And she's like, thanks, Dad. Bye-bye. I'm off to find my boyfriend, Matthew.
Yeah, I gotta say two things about this.
Okay.
The tile in that bathroom was amazing.
Gorgeous. It was gorgeous.
Was gorgeous. Even though it was a creeptastic scene, I was thankfully distracted by the tile in the bathroom.
But Gerbert, the man who plays him, is a very handsome man, but I have to say I was a little creeped out by
my
Gerbert
flesh was
right
crawling.
here.
And then did you notice that his suit was basically a priest cassock and a charcoal gray?
Yeah.
I mean, well played costumer.
Gave that aura.
Well played.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, okay, I'm going to wash you and get you ready for the public now.
I know.
Like,
and then the way that he kissed her. Well,
I know. It was a little gross, but she's still like, thanks, Dad. Bye.
Yeah.
Yay, my boyfriend Matthew. I'm like, oh my God. So I don't know. I think as a TV viewer,
the total lack of respective boundaries is with both Peter and Gerbert when it comes to female pawns.
Yes,
is thoroughly disgusting.
I agree.
It should be.
off to wherever Juliet's going to go to find her boyfriend in her head, because I think we all understand that she's a little bit cracked in the head.
A little bit.
So back in New College with Diana, she's staring at the wine bottle, Matthew's glass from yesterday on the mantle, and then someone slipped something under her door. And what did you guys think when you saw the pictures?
Ugh.
Yeah.
I mean, very grisly.
We knew what was coming, but it was still like kind of a punch to the gut.
Well, we knew it was coming, but you felt for Diana.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
They were bad. They were very bad.
I have to say, though, in the TV show, she took it a lot more stoically.
Oh, it's again with our TV Diana is more proactive.
Yeah. Yes.
She doesn't just let things happen to her.
But it's odd because seeing it on screen, you can see how this is all fuel to where this is going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So we get a confrontation scene with Gillian at her house. And I didn't get the sense that Gillian knew about this. She honestly, I don't feel like she knew that Peter had given her the pictures. She was just like, why would he do that? She's showing the pictures and she's like, I know Peter Knox gave this to me. I know.
Why would he do that? He's like so powerful and he's on the congregation. Shut up, Gillian.
But she goes, this is my parents. And Gillian, you can see it on her face. She was just like, oh shit, I didn't know that. But back to my needs. You're not going to give the book to the vampire, are you?
Yeah.
Diana walks out and she's like, she decides right then and there she's going to understand this book. And she goes
in the house that a teaching assistant can't afford.
Yeah.
Bring that up again.
Oh, that house. Well, they tend to do that on TV shows like Friends, their apartment. No one could afford that in New York.
But at least I kind of came up with a half-assed explanation that, you know, it was rent control and it was Monica's. Wasn't it Grandma Geller's?
Yes, it was Grandma Geller's and Monica was just living there. So Diana steps out the door and she's headed out. And so flash to Matthew going to visit Diana. He's outside the rooms and he noticed the doors open. He walks inside and he sees the pictures all splayed out on the table and he smells them and he can tell
who they came from.
Something's off. Yes. So his first instinct is to run to the library. And he was right. Yeah. Because if she's not home, she's at the library. Yeah.
And she stalked over there and she's going to get the damn book.
Right. She goes in and she's in there with Sean. She's like, Sean, I need that. Get me that book. Do me a solid. Please get me that book. And here comes Peter and he's brought some friends and they're all surrounding her. And then he says, we will work together, shall we? It was
kind of Children of the Corn.
Ugh. Oh my God. They all popped out.
Out of the woodwork, as it were.
Yeah.
We'll work together, shall we? Gillian thought you might take the book out. You see, she understands its importance to us.
Gillian knocked her out again. He's like, Gillian understands the importance of this book. And Peter's manipulative. And even if Gillian didn't say, oh, I understand the importance of this book, she ran and told, we better go stop her because she's about to get the book and give it to the vampire. So here's the thing. Sean is entering the scene. Peter gets nasty with Sean, puts a spell on him when Sean's trying to order them out because Sean notices there was tension between Diana and Peter and noticed all the people surrounding him. He's like, okay, get out. You have to get out of here. Peter doesn't care. Sleep. And Sean's on the floor. Yeah. And then Diana in a state of protectiveness. You see this wind going. And I thought, oh, I love this scene. Yeah. I really did. And her hair is starting to blow and the music behind it. Oh my God. It's something. She's got something. She turns around and she looks at Peter and this wind knocks everyone on their asses.
Yes. And it was just perfect.
Matthew's right outside the Baldwin and he senses something fucked up going on inside. I'm sure he's like, oh shit, it's probably Diana because all the fucked up shit happens around her.
Exactly.
And then he runs inside and Diana's in the process of getting drained of all of her energy for this crazy tornado she's created and she's hanging onto the floor for dear life.
I love the sense that you get the sense that it's not intentional.
Yes.
And the sense that she's as much at its mercy as everybody else.
As everybody else. It was fine when she was centering it, but when it was done, she didn't know how to stop it. So it was kept going. And Matthew has to dive in and grab her so she doesn't blow herself away. And he's like, I got you. You're safe. And I was like, oh, I love this scene when he just had her.
know.
He's like, I got
And he's
you.
like, breathe.
I got you, girl.
Don't hold your breath. Just breathe, Diana. I've got you.
You're safe.
I love how he has this understanding, though, of her magic.
He does too. It's like, I feel like he's been watching her over all this time and obviously with a stalking, and he's seeing what functions and how it functions and what it responds to.
Well, he's looking at her like a scientist, but he's also looking at her like someone who has lived through all of this magic and believes in its existence.
It is much more apparent in the TV show that he understands when she breathes, how she breathes, what's happening inside of her biologically. He's much more in tune than we picked up in the book.
Yeah, he's very in tune to the physicality of the kind of magic she has.
That's a good way to put it. It really is. So we're back in Diana's room. Matthew's packing Diana's bags, and she's nowhere to be found until we see her just knock the fuck out in a bed. Yeah. So, yeah, that kind of took a lot out of her. And Marcus is there, and Marcus and Matthew are talking. And Marcus is like, hey, Matthew, what the hell? Matthew says, I'm going to go find Peter Knox. And then we get the loyalty speech.
Oh, and then we get the first Philippe. Think about what you're doing.
Is she okay?
No, she's exhausted.
Not surprising. Witch wind. I've checked on Sean. He's fine, and I've sorted out the Bodleian.
If she wakes up, tell her I'll return soon.
Where are you going?
I'm going to find Peter Knox.
If you make a move on him, it'll be seen as a direct challenge to the congregation.
He sent her those photographs. His scent was all over them.
Are you seriously considering endangering our family just to avenge a witch?
Are you questioning my loyalty?
I'm questioning your judgment. Think before you do this. Get Diana out of Oxford, fine, but don't take on Knox. If you do, it'll be war.
It's like, think about what you're going to do, and you're going to put our whole family in jeopardy to avenge a witch.
How can you do this to Grandma? How can you do this to Isabel?
Right. Are you questioning my loyalty? And he's like, no, I'm questioning your sense, dude.
Right.
You need to get your shit together. And Matthew's protective, and he even says as much. He's like, I am so protective over this girl. I don't even know what's going on. And Marcus understands, and he suggests Woodstock. He's like, okay, that's cool.
Or Hamish's.
Protect her. Take her to Woodstock, or send her to Hamish. And Matthew, nope. I'm taking my witch girlfriend to France with my witch-hating vampire mother. Seems like sound decision, right?
Yeah. There's my Matthew.
It's so funny. And then she wakes up, and I just, the whole thing I pictured in my head was, remember that whole old skit, I'll pay the rent? I can't pay the rent. I must pay the rent. Or, remember that whole thing? She wakes up. She's like, what time is it? And he's like, you've been asleep forever. You got to leave Oxford. Nope. I have to do all the things. Yeah. Nope.
We're going.
No, they're trying to kill you. I'll go see my aunts. Nope. They'll get to them too. I'm taking you to my house. Those witches won't come and bug me. You'll be safe. And she's like, my hero.
I know. Yeah, Bossy Matthew finally showed up.
Yeah. It just flashed before me like a little comic strip. Your little narration there.
Yeah. My hero.
It was like one of those flip books, when they have like a drawing on each page and you flip through and it's like a little animation.
Yeah.
But we did get to see Fred in this scene at the end in his little house.
We got a little flash of him.
Yeah.
I mean, I distilled that scene into like a cartoon, but honestly, it was done beautifully.
Yes.
I love the Fleetwood Mac cover here. I loved everything.
Oh
Yes. He kneels down. He's like, we'll go to France. I'll take you to France. You'll be safe. And then they kiss, the first real kiss. There was no rejection here. And I was like, thank God, because that hurt.
If I had to wait another episode to resolve that other nonsense, I would have been very upset. I can't imagine waiting a week to resolve it.
Yeah, I love this scene. And I really love the scene when they head out. It's like a little wall they climb. Yes. They enter the next phase of Diana's life, and she's taking Matthew with with her. It was great.
I say when they join hands, it's like step 1 of Operation 10th Knot complete.
Yes. It's you and me against the world, pal. Let's go. Let's do this shit.
And Fred was there to send them off.
Then Fred was there. Yay! Anything else to cover in this episode, guys?
No.
It's amazing. And we're only in the middle of it. So I love it.
Yes.
So much more goodness to come.
This was one of my favorite episodes, I think. One of them. One of them so far. Okay, so listeners that don't want to get spoiled with the books, we're going to release you.
Class is dismissed.
Jean's Demon Kiss, because we're entering the spoiler zone right here. So after this break, we will get into the differences between the books and the TV show and talk about all the little things that we were holding ourselves back from before.
Demon Kiss. Mwah. See you next time.
Yay! Find this show wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Contact us. We are at demonsdiscuss@gmail.com. Leave us a voicemail, 360-519-7836. Or leave us one on SpeakPipe, speakpipe.com/demonsdiscuss. Hit us up on social media, and we are at Demons Discuss or at Demons Domain. Join our Facebook group, Demonic Discussers. The keys to get in are in the show notes. And if you're listening on your mobile device, click the description. It'll be there too. Become a discusser. And there are 2 ways to do that now. And if you're in the U.S., text ADOW as in ADOW, as in a discovery of witches. So text ADOW to 444-999. Or visit demonsdiscuss.com. Scroll down, fill out the form, and spam our code, and that's it. You're a discusser. Visit our main site, demonsdomain.com, to see what we're up to. And if you like what you hear, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Keep Angela alive! Okay, guys, so welcome back, and all you lurkers that just want to hear what we're about to say, welcome to you too.
Yes.
What did you guys think as far as the differences in this episode versus the books?
Start with the car. I'm not a car person. You guys are more car people than I am, but the difference between the Jaguar and the Tesla, what did you guys think of that?
I wanted him to keep the Jag because he was just...
I love the Tesla.
I know you love the Tesla. I have Tesla issues because Elon Musk is a nut job, but...
He's no longer CEO.
He's still a nut job. My issue with changing out from that Jaguar is because, back to the whole man out of time thing, it just seemed like the Tesla was a little bit too trendy for our book Matthew, especially because he's still like Mr. Mont Blanc fountain pen. And Except the fact it was, in my head, it was like the E series. So it was like the sexy fuddy-duddy.
Yes, right, which would be fitting.
Yeah.
Did you picture an XJ6 or an XJS?
XJS.
Yeah, me too.
So,
and that's why I took it well, because I felt like the Tesla is kind of along the same lines, a modern version of that.
Well, I think they went, but the thing with the Tesla, with the TV audience, is that is like, in a nutshell, just sums up to anyone looking at it like, okay, this is a family with money and power. He's a guy with money and power and clout who can get his hands on a Tesla in Great Britain, which is like virtually impossible.
Hell, in the United States, they start at $75K. And that's if you don't want seat warmers.
And that's an S. But he was driving an S, which is way more than that.
Well, they have different levels.
And what did Deb say about the change? Because he's more environmentally conscious?
Yes. She was getting into the whole science thing of it. Except I didn't want to ask Deb about, well, what about it when he needs to dispose of the batteries? Because I didn't want to be that smart ass. Because fallacy on some. That's one of the fallacies about these cars is that.
You have to figure out how to recycle these big ass batteries.
And the pollution from manufacturing those batteries is kind of egregious.
Yeah. But anyway, me being a tech person in general, I've test driven the Tesla S and the Tesla S with speed, which is a step up, which those start at 100,000. But, I acted all fancy and I wanted to test drive this thing because my sister was thinking of buying one. And I could see Matthew Claremont driving that car. Mm-hmm. It's quiet. It's stealth. It's sleek. It's fast. It could drive itself.
And he can listen to Mozart. He can listen to Mozart on the sound system in peace.
In peace. Yes. Top of the line. So yes, I was cool with it. I mean, you heard how I'm drooling over this car, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm obviously cool.
Well, it looks like you can fit more vampires in it too than the Jag.
Good point.
This is true.
He's got
This
to
is
go
true.
get Marcus's ass and haul him out of jail every other week. So he needed the room.
My thing is with Satu, at this point, she has shown she doesn't care about rules.
Oh, she is like the queen of don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think she's driven by something totally different than Peter. It's not about Peter for her, I think. I think it's totally her own little whatever.
I think she's gathering
because she's
gathering power to protect herself as opposed to gathering power for power's sake.
Yes. Peter just happens to be a conduit to get her to where she wants
because
to
I mean,
go
it was like a magnet. When she made her way to that congregation room, like, okay, this is the seat of power. This is where I need to be.
And she wants to know things for herself, for her own benefit.
Yes.
I don't mean that like in a domenical kind of way. I mean it like you said, Jean, to try to protect herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's on a private
She
quest.
needs to understand, is what I get the sense.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So she asks all the right questions, and she understands she has quite a bit of power, and she's just, I don't get it yet with her at this point, but there's something else there. So yeah, we did say last episode she was lurching around, but here we saw a little bit more of her. And I appreciated that.
Yes.
Now, the other thing that was really interesting is that the human caretaker of the congregation, they kind of morphed Rima from Shadow of Night. That's like the male Rima. Rico Jean instead of Rima John.
Well, I'm thinking that could even change though. Okay, so we know that there's a human librarian.
And we know that there's he's got an older sister.
Yes, right. And that could still be Rima. But Rima could still come into the picture because we still have yet to meet her next season.
Yes. And what did you guys think about the old lodge compared to the book?
Inside, it's what I pictured. Yeah.
You know, and this is my fault again, where they say that, you know, there were so many centuries of display between the tapestries and the armor and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know why. That's what they said in the book. It's true. And when I see it on TV, I'm like, it's so packed. It's so cluttered. It's so high-end TJ Maxx to me.
Yeah.
And you know how I feel about TJ Maxx.
I know. Girl, you got to go there after they've cleaned up and they've restocked. That's when you go. You go right an hour before closing. That's the best experience. I'm telling you.
I'll have to give it a try.
No. Do you know what's so funny is that shot that I love so much in the stairwell as I think about it, it feels like foreshadowing of the fact that she's a time walker. Because
kind of like the spiral clock.
It reminded me so much of the spiral clock. Looking at it, it's like it was so symbolic about the journey she didn't even realize she was going on or going to embark upon.
The other thing that seemed like foreshadowing and maybe is unintentional is when she's asking the questions, and Matthew says, "You're full of questions," and that's the key to her magic in Shadow of Night.
That's right, and we just did that chapter with Goody.
Then when she gets to the end and she becomes the Book of Life, she's full of questions and answers.
Yes.
Yeah. So the combination of the two dinners, guys, I know we said we liked it, but I remember in our TV episode, I'm like, yeah, they're probably going to have to combine those, but man, if we would have had the two of them.
Yeah. I really wanted to go down into the wine cellar because that was another Matthew history lesson.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, yes.
I missed that.
Yes.
I did miss that.
All Souls, when they went down to the basement in the wine cellar and her birthday wine. I would have loved to see that.
I know.
But I get it. Time constraints.
The dinner, the combined dinner, it was fine. It's like, what's wrong? Nothing. I'm fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's good.
I got one of them. I'm happy I got one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. The book conversation was so rich. I guess that's just my point.
Yeah.
It's just, you got so much out of all of it.
Yeah. But you know what? By sacrificing that second dinner, we got all this delicious congregation stuff.
This is true.
I got Baldwin like 2 episodes
you did get
sooner.
Baldwin.
Thank you.
And they combined 2 scenes when she said, what do I taste like? And he takes her closely and he starts whispering in her ear. That's the part that I loved when he was holding her from behind and her hands were sparking and she was like, what is this nonsense I hear about the book?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was that combined.
Yeah. I forgot about that scene. Oh my God. I'm going to have to do a reread of Discovery Witches now. I was like, That's a scene I love.
And she was like, I'm so mortified because I couldn't, she was trying to like stomp on his foot and she couldn't get out of it. But this was different. This was different.
Yes. It was a different feel. And Diana's overall attitude, and we kept bringing it up when we were discussing the show, her overall attitude in this TV show. Yeah. She doesn't sit down. She doesn't sit back and take it. Yeah. I love this. This is,
I like this Diana a lot more than I like the book Diana.
I did too. Absolutely.
Yeah, book Diana took me till Shadow of Night to be like, okay, girl, now you're doing your thing. Right. But everything just happened to her. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And I get it because she didn't understand her witchcraft and everything was just happening all at once. And I talk all badass now, but I'm not sure I wouldn't crumble like Diana did in a lot of those scenes in the book. But here in this TV show, she is taking charge, taking control. She initiated the kiss. She initiated everything. So with Gillian, she stood up to her, she pushed aside, and she just marched right over to Matthew and got in the car. There was no victim.
No, she's reckless, but she's not a victim.
Yeah.
Well, and the biggest complaints about the book is that Matthew's so controlling and he decides when she's going to eat, when she's going to sleep. And it's not that way on TV.
No.
Or at least it's portrayed differently.
He's bossy still. No mistake there.
By the way, I am all in with Matthew Good.
Oh, God, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I am convinced. Before, I was like, okay, he's Matthew Claremont-esque, despite that being his real name. But now to me, he is just Matthew Claremont. He embodies this character.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think his acting is superb. The nuances are definitely there.
And they're good together.
Oh, my God, yes.
Because she has a ton.
Yes.
She has a ton of nuance as well, really and truly. And it's not just his chemistry with Teresa.
Yeah. Oh, the chemistry.
He's got to be a joy to work with because the chemistry he has with Ed, with Aisha, and
I think everyone's
Alex,
chemistry together.
Yeah. Is there anything you guys didn't like?
Not that I didn't like it, but I noticed in the books, when she would ask him a question, he would get that dark reaction. And that's when I was like, whoa, what's going on there? And he doesn't have that in the TV show.
No, not so much.
No.
And that came through very strong in the books and the TV show. It's more like, he's getting angry and he's reacting, but not as sharp, not as quick, not as
dark.
Yeah.
Yes. Anything else that you can think of that you didn't?
What about the naming convention when he says he always uses his Christian name? That's not true.
No,
not true to the books. No.
That I'm curious how that's all going to. Oh, I know. One more thing about the big change is like that confrontation in the library.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. Yes.
A surprise for us.
It was good. Mm-hmm. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
So good. Because in the rooms, we didn't get a sense that the wind was that harsh. I mean, if her wind was that strong, her room would have been destroyed.
Yeah. And the same, like when it sort of swirled up around with her and Matthew, you didn't get that sense at all.
So, yeah. I thought that was a beautiful scene. Well shot. Loved it. I'd take it in the books in a minute, and I'm not sure we'd get the same effect.
No,
I would agree.
And before knowing this scene, you can understand, yes, why the Baldwin wouldn't want you to film. But with this scene, you're like, that's not even a possibility to film in the Baldwin.
Yeah. With a big fan.
All the manuscripts coming apart.
No, I could see some crazed librarian. No.
Yeah.
Or Richie. No.
Yes, Richie.
What's his last name? Richard
Ovenden.
Ovenden, yes. We call him Richie. Richie, you owe us an interview.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We're going to come knock on your door.
Yes, real. We are. Yes, we are. So I can't think of anything else that I'd want. No, this episode was everything it needed to be, I think, for the time constraints and budgets and whatever. Because for me, I would have added another dinner, but maybe that would have been too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Oh, I do have a little bit. It's not a complaint, but so much as that even when you're leading us through this episode, it's like, now we're in the Old Lodge. Now we're in the congregation. Now we're in the Sophie and Nathaniel's. It's like, it's a lot of changing back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a lot of scenes that we didn't get in the book. We only had Diana's perspective.
And there's so many of them that I wish we just got like a minute or two more of.
Yes,
I wouldn't sacrifice any of the scenes that we did get, but I just wish we got a little bit more on some of them.
Yeah.
We also said that about the books.
Yeah.
That's true.
We're gluttons. Gluttony is our deadly sin.
Yeah. All right. So let's end it and say goodbye to our audience.
For real.
Farewell.
Alvita's saying goodnight.
Demon kiss for these folks. Yay! Demon kiss. Bye. We'll talk to you next week, guys.
Demons Discuss and Demons Domain are independent and not affiliated with Bad Wolf, Sky One, Sundance Now, and Shudder. Clips of the TV show and soundtrack are used for the purpose of commentary only. The soundtrack is an original score by Rob Lane and the